Welcome back, listeners, to the BizBlend podcast, where strategy meets storytelling, hustle meets heart, and the entrepreneurs share their real journey behind the business pivots. Now, in this episode today, we are diving into the world of thought leadership, solopreneurship, and what it takes to switch niches in a shifting market. Now, listeners, my guest has spent 25 years as a seasoned Spanish and French to English medical translator, specializing in clinical trials and academic research. But as the language services industry evolved, he made a bold pivot into linguistic validation, while also mentoring others to navigate this AI driven landscape. From a difficult childhood to building a sustainable business, his story is one of resilience, adaptability, and leading with a purpose. So stay tuned as we unpack the mindset, strategy, and lessons behind his journey. And listeners, please meet Jason Willis-Lee. So, Jason, welcome to the show, and it is such an honor to have you with us.
Thank you so much for the invite, Sana. Thank you for having me.
That's great. Great. So, Jason, you have spent like 25 years in medical translation. So, what was that pivotal moment that pushed you to shift towards linguistic validation? And then, how exactly did you embrace that fear of change or transition without, letting go of your core expertise?
Yeah, thank you. So just to be clear, I still work in medical translation. I still do medical reports, journal articles, but it is an AI centric market, Sana. So I wanted to find a new niche where I could feel competitive and relevant as I go into this new season of life. I'll be 50 in end of July, 3 months time. So I felt that linguistic validation is less, it's more future proof and more AI proof because it involves pieces of the cycle that do not or cannot be automated as well as much as translation. For example, cognitive debriefing, which is where we talk to patients and give patients a voice. So, for example, we might go into a Facebook group and recruit 10 patients with diabetes mellitus and talk about questionnaires, clinical trial questionnaires, and see if they feel represented. So it's nice work for us medical translators who spend a lot of time behind the computer, do working on texts, and it's just nice to feel connected to other people as you and I are connected now on this podcast. And it's about embracing AI without feeling scared, Sana. I'd like to teach people that AI is a tool. It's a productivity tool. It's not something that's replacing humans. It's something that we need to leverage to stay relevant and competitive. So, yeah, that's what I'm going into linguistic validation as we speak. I'm training myself up on things I know less about. I've done a lot of back translation, a lot of forward translation, a lot of reconciliation to those parts of the cycle I know about. Where I'm keen to learn more is cognitive debriefing, physician review, concept elaboration, and elicitation. So these are very important parts of clinical trials, Hannah.
I agree. I agree. And what a journey! What a journey, Jason! And uh, that is really, really inspiring, and a lot of learnings as well for all of us. So, as we mentioned that AI is a tool for enhancing our productivity. So there's quite a divided discussion on getting AI leverage in the creative field as well. Some people they believe that it is going to completely replace human connection. Then on the other hand, of course, AI can be such a huge help in reducing redundant work or reducing all the repetitive work that we have to do. So what's your opinion on this, Jason?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think the human work is more important now than ever. So I think AI AI for creatives, it's more of a catalyst and not a replacement. So AI tool, I use AI every day. I use ChatGPT. I have personalized, customizable ChatGPTs, one for linguistic validation, the new niche I told you about. I've used Claude. I've used Copilot.
Mhm.
So I think the tools that kind of eliminate the blank page problem. You feel you sort of have you ever sat down to write a post or an email or something that you just have this blank page in your mind? So it can accelerate ideas creation. Where I think it fails, it's very easy to see something that's just machine generated output. I look at my own the things I edit myself, and what I'm doing is I'm taking the AI. I might get a framework structure for a post or an email, but it has to. If you just post that as it is, you're doomed to failure. You have to edit. You have to edit the thing for your audience, whatever it is. It's also personalization at scale, Sana. It's you can now generate personalized content or emails, copy, visuals that are tailored to different audience segments without being less authentic. So I think the key is learning how to master the prompts and keeping a very clear brand tone, your personal brand, so that it supports your voice and doesn't overwrite it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That I think that's where exactly the difference is created, uh, in the way we use AI. And Jason, you have been also you know working with solopreneurs, and with solopreneurs, it's really very common. That they struggle with staying visible as industry demands. It is demanding rapid changes. So from your perspective, first of all, how did you position yourself as a thought leader while switching niches? And what do you think are some of the practical steps which helped you build credibility in an entirely new space?
Yeah, so I think for me, son, it was my own framework. So I've created people are known for certain things. So Stephen Covey is known for his book, The Seven Effective Habits of Successful People, I think it's called. Ramit Sethi is known for the initials IWT, I will teach you to be rich. So I developed a framework myself, which is the Bridge framework. And the Bridge is basically I teach people personal branding is the B,
Mhm.
P2P relationships. So all this talk of AI, Sana, but you know what? People still buy from people. Humans still buy from humans. So I've never made a sale either in the consulting space or the service provision space if I don't have a personal relationship. So that's so important. Impacts driven content. You need to have a content sort of machine that just puts out the important content that shows people what you stand for, what your values are, and the differentiating points for you, as compared to the market of sameness. You know, there's all this sameness. The challenge is to stand out, and you stand out with your content and telling us, telling people what is different. And then just taking decisions based on data. So, just looking at metrics and taking decisions in your business based on the information that comes back. So I think simpler is less is sometimes more. And just
Yeah.
by being very simplified and not overthinking and overcomplicating things, business is very simple in a way. In many ways, you just do more of what works, and you don't just throw spaghetti on the wall and try, test and try things willy nilly. You need a kind of a system.
Mm.
And then the G is for growth, for looking for those growth opportunities and niches, really niche down to get them. And the E is efficiency, which is where the AI productivity comes in. So I have my bridge framework, and hopefully we'll be developing and building out case studies based on people that I work with.
Great.
But essentially, I think it's a mindset shift. I mean, one mindset shift. I'm heading to Poland next week. I'm giving a talk in Krakow at the BP25 conference in Krakow, and I'll hopefully have a few people in front of me. And one of the things I'm trying to get over to them is that you don't have to sell time for money. So you can move outside of a time for money mindset by packaging your expertise, your IP, your intellectual property. You can trademark your IP. So the bridge framework is something trademarkable. So that if someone, copies it and I could say, hey, don't do that because it's trademarked. So you can just get into a productized services mindset. And the first products that people build, Sana, is usually a lead magnet. So you usually package a little bit of IP into a template, and I give away a nice template to do this. And it just gives someone some free content, some free value. A lead magnet, it's an ethical bribe. You're effectively saying to someone, here's something valuable that I could easily sell for €100 or $100. Here it is for free, and in exchange for the email, and you get that piece of real estate and the right to pop up in someone's inbox and influence them, nurture the relationship. And all the consulting sales I've made have been people on my email list, which I run through a program called Kit, formerly ConvertKit, just a nice email, marketing software. And that's how I do it. So I think you want to create a signal, get to sort of get out of all this noise. You just need to sort of create, hand raising signal and share insights, but it's got to be personalizable insights to you and your business and your brand, that creates a market of one. So if you lean into the founder's story, I think the tendency now is personal branding, not business branding. That makes you a market of one. And then people come to me saying my competition and they're worried about the competitors. And it sounds like they're fighting over a piece of pizza. But ultimately, if they do the personal branding correctly, they make themselves a market of one in a castle by themselves, surrounded by a moat of crocodiles and a drawbridge that no one can get to, or very difficult to get to if you do that personal branding exercise correctly, Sana.
I like that. Yeah, that is true. We have seen such a huge shift in terms of you know branding, where customers or people, they associate a particular brand or a service more with the person or the behind it, the CEO or maybe the thought leader behind it. So I absolutely agree with that. And coming back to AI once again, because you also have been mentoring translators, copywriters, interpreters. Um, Now, what are some of the top, mindset shifts that you encourage them to adopt, especially now with AI impacting the language services world?
Yeah, so they basically it's leaning into AI. It's embracing it as a tool and not to think of the AI as a human replacement. I think that's something that is the mindset shift number one. It's not here to replace you. It's here to augment you. It's here to amplify your voice. It's like picking up a megaphone, which is social media in a way. Social media is this megaphone we now have. We can just blast our messages out on more than one channel. And I play on LinkedIn and Instagram. And it's just like a junior assistant. It's fast. It doesn't get tired. It's helpful, but it still needs the directions from a skilled professional, the human, which is the prompting. So instead of you don't have to. That's one mindset. So the first one is to lean into it as an augmenting tool, as not as a replacement. The second one is not to wait for perfection. You do not want to wait for perfection. You just have to iterate, and you can use the AI to generate, review, refine, and hone. And the faster you get used to shipping your product early, it may be a service, it may be a product, the more you can learn and adapt. So you have to sort of iterate, get the data back. Remember the D from the bridge framework,
Yep.
data-driven metrics. Get the data back, reiterate, and do it again. So it's getting out of this perfectionist mindset. Too many of us, I think, are perfectionists, myself included, or want to be perfectionists when entrepreneurship is more about iteration rather than perfection. And the third mindset shift, I would say, is move from a do it all, do it yourself or do everything yourself framework to delegating to systems. And you don't have to write every single email or analyze every single data set. You can use AI to automate those repetitive tasks so that you can focus on your zone of genius, your creative thinking, your relationship building, the P2P relationship building, and the strategic decisions. So there are three things. It's not replacing you, it's augmenting you. You don't have to be perfect. Just reiterate time and again and move out of a do it yourself, do it all yourself mindset to a systems delegation mindset.
Yeah, I really love that. Entrepreneurship is not about perfection, it's about iteration. That is really, really it's going to be my favorite takeaway from this
Oh,
conversation.
thank you. Thank you very much.
And now let's touch down a bit, about your journey. I mean, your early part of your journey, it includes overcoming adversity early in life. So, um, how do those experiences show up in the way that you approach business challenges today? Because I believe, and I have had so many conversations on this, that the way we the experiences that we have had in our childhood, or it could be limiting beliefs, it could be trauma, or any kind of pivotal moments, they shape the way that we react to events, or we take decisions, or we just try to charter the course of our life. So I would love to know.
Yeah, that's a great insight. I think adversity and overcoming adversity is very, very personal. It depends on the individual, on the experiences. But I think I came from a background of mental health problems. So I was born into a very, very dysfunctional family system because of mental health problems. So there were some legal challenges, or there are some legal challenges, and
Mhm.
boundaries overstepped because of those problems. I think mental health has to be regarded, or the way I regard it now, is not as a weakness. It is something just to understand. It's a system to understand. Family systems have to be understood. Often in trauma is intergenerational. It is our parents' trauma. It was our grandparents' trauma, and this sometimes can just go down the generations until someone puts up their hand and says, "Hey, this is not right. This has to stop." And somebody has to sort of, break the system to stop the trauma just moving down generations. That's number one. So understand mental health not as a weakness, but as a system. Number two, adversity. It isn't just hard. It's very revealing. Adversity strips away the distractions in a way. You kind of go into survival mode, and it forces you to recalibrate what really matters, which is the family connections. And I'll be going to a conference, and I'll put up some big picture questions. And one of them is, what will matter in 50 years' time? Or what about 5 years' time? I'm going to be 50. What about 55? Or what about, God forbid, 100? What's going to be important? It's going to be the freedom I get from my business and my life, and building my business around a freedom I want in my life. It's family connections, obviously. It's the people I do life with. It's the time I spend offline with my family. So I'll have a family pick on that one. So it's basically just finding these big picture questions. What are you optimizing for? Why are you going into work every day? It's the Simon Sinek question, the big why. Why? What is your purpose? What is your meaning? Simon Squibb talks about this as well. What is your dream? He makes dreams happen, and he goes up to people on the street. What is your dream? That's an interesting. He's somebody who can do that. He's in a
Mhm.
position to make dreams come true. So this big picture, sort of zooming out of the micro, the task you're doing each day, and just saying, why am I doing this? What is my revenue enough number? When is it? Because you could get onto this hamster wheel of scaling to the moon. Decide if you have a scale business, a performance business, rather than a lifestyle business, which is what I like. I like just working 5 or 6 hours a day, doing my service provision, having a productized service as well, and just making money from both of those two revenue streams. It's just being clear why you do what you do, and just having those rocks very clear. Whatever happens today, I'm going to do A, B, and C. And the day is going to run away with you. You might have back-to-back calls. Today is a fairly heavy calls day for me, but that's okay. You need to build in the white space into your diary. So it's very clear just to zoom out and why you're doing what you're doing. And finally, resilience is it's kind of built into the person. It's not, you don't inherit or not inherit resilience. It's not stoicism. It's the ability to pause, to heal yourself intentionally, with or without a therapist. You need to do your healing, I think, internally, and this inner work on yourself, and then restart. It's sort of press the reboot button, as these diplomats sometimes talk about rebooting difficult relationships, U.S. Russia, or Russia with anybody these days. Could be a
Mhm.
rebooted relationship. Just pausing, doing your healing. And I'm very into inner healing. I think in the inner work that has to be done from an
Mhm.
adverse situation, if boundaries have been violated, if your emotionality is affected by something that happened to you in your childhood, instead of pointing fingers, point fingers to a certain extent so that you understand what happened, but ultimately you need to reboot and restart yourself, and you have to heal yourself. And I think we all have a personal responsibility, particularly in cases of severe abuse where we can turn into people who then abuse other people. You have a personal responsibility, I think, to sit down and say, hey, this needs to stop. And my position in society, in my family, in my community, in my society is this. The rules apply to me just as much as anyone else. You need to sort of sit down and just protect your recovery time, honor the limits you have, and just show up. Just show up. A business owner will fail time and time again. I don't know a single successful business owner who hasn't failed, Sana. Failure is
Yeah.
part of the journey. You have to just show up again and just pick yourself up and just accept that you're imperfect and you will fail. A VA this morning just said, yeah, I screwed up on this website form. And I said, yeah, I screwed up as well. I downgraded this subscription and I've just booted people off the second seats. I've just locked the second seat out of the people who are helping me. And I need to upgrade again to get the second seat going. So we all make mistakes. And if somebody admits a mistake to me, that's the first sign to me that they're human, that they can admit that they made a mistake and will learn from it, from that failure. They will learn next time.
That is such a great point. Such a great point. It's so simple yet it's so um that makes such a huge difference, within people, because it makes you humble and grounded and centered when you acknowledge, yes, I made a mistake. I'm learning from my mistake, and I'm going to not give up and get back again and try this once more. So
Absolutely. 100%.
that's the human spirit. That's where AI cannot replace that human spirit. So that's beautiful, Jason. So before we wrap up, if our listeners would like to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yes, thank you. So the best way is on LinkedIn. Just type in my name, Jason Willis-Lee. The name is as in Bruce Willis, Willis L-L-I-S hyphen Lee, as in Bruce Lee, L-E-E. My website is the entrepreneurial translator, just entrepreneurialtranslator.com. If you just type in entrepreneurial translator or Jason Willis-Lee, I should come up. Either my website or my LinkedIn is the best place. I also have an Instagram, and the handle is entrepreneurial translator. I'd love to connect. Just send me a DM. Send me if you got some insight from this episode. Please tell me what it was. And yeah, I love chatting to people online and just exchanging value and insights. And
Lovely, lovely. I'll have all the links in the show notes for our listeners. And thank you so much, Jason, for this inspiring, eye-opening conversation. I think not only we have, learned about pivoting in a niche market, to mentoring others through industry disruption, but then also about um, life's journey, where adaptability, leadership, they go hand in hand. So thank you so much, Jason.
thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
So, listeners, if you are navigating your own business pivot or questioning your next step, I hope this episode gave you the courage to start to embrace change. And don't forget to subscribe to BizBlend. Don't forget to connect with Jason. Refer to the show notes along with this episode. And stay tuned for more real conversations like this with incredible guests like Jason at the intersection of business, mindset, and life. Thank you.